And welcome back, everybody, to the Jocks of All Trades podcast. We are here for Monday for Jock Talk. We have some fun announcements later on in the week. I will put those up later. But for now, let's start talking, guys. There's a lot, and I mean a lot of stuff going on. Let's start out with a coaching hire that kind of shocked me a little bit. It's kind of old news at this point, but we don't do this often. So Oregon is trying to get Chip Kelly back.
I thought they finalized getting Georgia's defensive coordinator, Dan Lanning, as head coach.
Yeah, I think it's being finalized.
I think so. But
yeah. What role were they considering Chip Kelly for head coach or for
they didn't say. They just wanted Chip Kelly back. So that's why I have it here. For the sake of would it even help them? That's the whole reason why I'm asking.
I think it would. I think his peak was at Oregon, and it never got higher than that. I think Oregon is a much better destination than UCLA, which I think I said in the last podcast in terms of their look, their jerseys, their stadium, the division that they're in. It's all just better. And Oregon is very iconic. I think they're not always good, but they're iconic, and I think that would bring in a lot of recruits if he went back to Oregon. Getting Dan Lanning as their head coach now, it is a little odd, I think, because I feel like Oregon's just history is that always up-tempo kind of offense, and maybe they'll deviate from that now. But it'll be interesting to see, who he brings in as his offensive coordinator and assistants. But right now it's a little weird because it's like that's not really Oregon's MO to get guys like that.
Honestly, I look at it and I see Oregon getting a coach from the SEC, but I mean, he had a great year outside of the SEC championship game as a defensive coordinator. And so I'm going, well, maybe they want to try to bring some SEC style of play to the Pac-12. And it's obvious that kind of play would work in the Pac-12. So I go, maybe it's not a bad idea to try to poach some coaches from successful conferences.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the best way to go. I feel like they try to emulate, SEC tough, physical kind of play style and bring it to that division. Like with Texas, got Tom Herman from Ohio State.
Yeah.
And they tried to bring in that, and it just didn't work. So I think it can work, but I feel like from my perspective, more often it just –
I mean, the biggest example of success would be when the Big Ten was always considered slow, unathletic, and everything. Ohio State grabs Urban Meyer and flips the script on its head. So that's the one thing. I mean, if Oregon thinks that they can do that with Dan Lanning, maybe it's not as, I don't think as sure as a home run as maybe getting someone like Urban Meyer for a college coach. But, you never know.
Speaking of Urban, we'll talk about him later in this episode. So the NCAA, probably faster than any running back out there because it was very fast and swift on their judgment of the fake sliding. Do we have thoughts on this rule? I know we kind of talked about it. Let's keep it brief. Like it or hate it?
I like it. Yeah, I just think quarterbacks have such an advantage now. Like back in the day, they were treated like any normal player, getting mauled, getting hit after the play, and no one batted an eye. Now they get every advantage known to man. So while it was a very sneaky and sly and kind of like smart move that Pickett did, they're already holding up when they're going in for a hit on quarterbacks, and that would just like confuse them even more, and just it'd be another big disadvantage to defenders. I've always felt like when quarterbacks run outside the pocket, run upfield, they should be treated just like any normal dude, especially when you see all the time when they go out of bounds, they're heading towards the sideline, and then defenders hold up, and they start staying in bounds a little bit, getting another 2 to 3 yards. Like they do that quite a bit, and I think for defenders that just really pisses them off. So, they get a lot of advantages already, so it's kind of good to see them not get one for a change.
No, I will absolutely not take that shirt off, D. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth, Pats boy. All right. Hate him. Hate him for that. Let's move on. Clemson is losing literally everybody. It's funny because last week I just said they're in hot water. Now Brent Venables is going to Oklahoma. That's their defensive coordinator. Their offensive coordinator, Tony Elliott, is going to Virginia. And they're losing their athletic director, Dan Ratatouille, whatever his name is. Yeah. And he's going to Miami. So let's be 100% honest here. This is the reason why I wanted to bring it up. Is Clemson toast?
I guess we'll have to see. I'm not going to say they're toast or not, but I think you'll really get to see the influence of I'm not a big Al Horford fan, that's for sure.
We lost Brad. Thanks, D. Oh, that's hilarious.
I think you'll get to see how good Dabo is or not in terms of recruiting, in terms of coaching, because I mean, if these assistants are as good as what these colleges think that they're purging Clemson from, then maybe he won't be that good. Maybe they'll start just kind of fading into nothingness. So it all rests on his shoulders because, like you said, Brad, their quarterback situation is horrible. They're losing everybody. You look at James Franklin from Penn State. I mean, he just lost his defensive coordinator. His quarterback situation isn't that good. So, it'll be up to Dabo to either replace these guys with good candidates from around college because, it seems like they're not doing that, right? I haven't heard them getting any of these fancy – at least Penn State got Manny Diaz as their defensive coordinator. That's a big hire. But I haven't seen Clemson get anybody to replace their good coaches. So that kind of worries me.
And that was what I wanted to kind of talk about is the fact that everybody left is kind of weird, first of all. Second of all, it's weird that nobody was hired on the back of it. Is it maybe a Dabo problem?
I personally think it is because if you go around the Twitter sphere as much as I do, you know that Dabo has a bit of a likability problem. Not a ton of people really, really like Dabo, especially outside of Clemson. So I go, you have a coach with a PR problem, a head coach with a PR problem, just lost his DC, his OC, and his AD. They have to be hemorrhaging recruits. I mean, it might not be visible right now, but it's becoming harder and harder for Clemson to start recruiting some of these top players. Personally, I think they have quite the challenge in front of them, and we might be currently seeing the rise and fall of the Clemson empire.
Entirely possible. That was my first thought when I started seeing the exodus. We're going to talk about another exodus in a minute. Guys, did you happen to see Mike Leach? D, if you're still here, you'll like this. Mississippi State's head coach had some choice words for players opting out of bowl games. Did anybody see that?
Yeah.
I did not, but it doesn't surprise me since it's Mike Leach.
In that case, let me say what he said, and then we'll talk about it. So he said they think they're going to have a storied 10-year NFL career. Then they can't play one more college game. Well, that's ridiculous. It's one of the biggest absurdities that I've ever seen. Yeah, he didn't really hold back. What do we agree with him? Does he have a point here, or is he just being Mike Leach?
I don't.
Here's the thing. He has a point. However, I look at some of these players, especially these star players who have a really high draft stock, and I look at them going, do you really want them to risk their draft stock on some fluke injury? Because a fluke injury can happen in any game. Now, here's the thing. It's not just that they're putting themselves at risk, because they put themselves at risk at every game they play. So why is this one different? It's because bowl games have what made them special. And what happened was the playoff. The playoff basically made those bowl games not as special as they once were. And so how do you keep the playoff intact but give meaning to some of these postseason games. It's a great case for expansion. I don't see how Mike Leach wouldn't be in favor of expansion, because then you have more teams getting a chance to play for something later on in the season.
Mississippi State might actually get a chance to play for a national championship. You're right.
Well, I mean, they'd have something to play for.
Yeah.
They'd have something to play for. And so that's what's happening. Outside of 4 teams in all of FBS, no team, there's no point to these bowl games anymore. And so at least the end of the regular season would become that much more exciting if you expanded. Plus, you'd have more teams having something to play for.
I think, too, it says a lot about players that do come back and play that bowl game. I feel like a lot of NFL coaches appreciate that sticking with your program, sticking with your team, sticking with your guys, playing it out, and then, going to the combine. But like you said, Luke, these fluke injuries happen all the time. They even happen in the combine. You've seen many players go to the NFL combine and then get hurt, and then, boom, their draft stock just plummets. So I don't know if he has a point, because these players, like you said, are kind of risking it all for that next game. And it could cost them literally millions of dollars, which, yes, to us, we would take even $20,000. I understand that. But for them, especially where a lot of these guys come from, the work that they put in, the 4 or 5 years they go to college, you want to see them get what they deserve. And I don't think they deserve to get injured in a bowl game. I think it's their life. It's their choice to do that. So if you're a fan of a team like Penn State, if a player opts out of the bowl game, like Micah Parsons opted out all of last year. Yeah. I was bummed they didn't get to see him, but now look what he's doing.
Exactly. And me, as an Ohio State fan, I look at, okay, we're going to be in the Rose Bowl playing against Utah. If a player like Chris Olave, or if Garrett Wilson decides to go to the draft, if he opts out too. So if Chris Olave opts out, I have no problem with it, actually. I'm going to be disappointed. Oh, my word. Oh, my word.
Still a little salty, man. A little bit.
Hey, D, don't worry. The Buckeyes are going to clean their clock. We're going to try to help you out with that.
He don't like Ohio State or Penn State, so that's helpful for him.
He probably hates Utah a bit more right now, so I'm going to say that much. So if a player like Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson, I'd be disappointed I didn't get to see them one last time in an Ohio State jersey, but I'd understand, and I'd be like, I completely understand, dude. Go get your bag, because you can be sure Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, especially Garrett Wilson, he might be drafted first wide receiver that goes off the board because of his freaky athleticism. But no, go get that money.
Yep. It is this time that I'm going to say something very sobering and terrible that kind of ripped through the NFL world this week. Damaris Thomas was found dead in his Georgia home at the age of 33. That is incredibly young. Very sad to hear it. Great receiver for the Broncos. Just thinking about his family and friends and everybody that he was surrounded by, but that's just, man, that's tough, especially when you've played with people and shared your lives with people, and that's like your brotherhood. And just thought about it a lot this week, and that's tough. So there's our remembrance. I'm sure I'll find a video to post later of some of his best plays and just kind of remembering him.
One of his best plays was with Tim Tebow.
Yes.
They played the Steelers in the playoffs, and Tim Tebow hits him for like an 80-yard touchdown. Remember watching that. He was a really good receiver. He was only 33 too. When I heard the news, I was like, oh, wow. Like, I thought he would have been playing still, at 33. But his career ended early, but he still had like 5 Pro Bowls. So, like, Georgia Tech alum. I don't know if he played with Calvin Johnson, but he might have. So I wonder. I don't know. But, yeah, he was really good in college, obviously really good in the pros as well. Seemed like a good guy. So it's always sad to hear that.
It is.
Yeah.
Let us move to a team that I love to make fun of, usually, except for when this kind of stuff happens, and then I just feel really terrible for him. Luke, I know you're going to talk about it a little bit later, so I'll be brief. So Bo Nix announced that he was going to go to the transfer portal from Auburn. That's fine. TJ Finley is there. Not a big deal. And then on the back of that, Tank Bigsby also comes out and says that he's transferring. Why the exodus from Auburn? What's going on? Is it Brian Harsin? Was it the fact that they lost their last 4 SEC games to end out the year?
Yeah, I thought they were a decent team halfway through the year. I really did.
Yeah.
And they just kind of tanked. I feel like for both of them, Bo Nix, I think he's never going to be a good NFL quarterback. Sorry, I'm not choking up. I just have a really bad throat. I'm crying about Bo Nix right now.
He's never going to be a really good quarterback.
He's never going to be a good quarterback in the NFL, that's for sure. But I think on a little bit of a smaller stage, I think he can really showcase what he'll be able to do. And he is a dual threat kind of guy. So I would imagine he'd go to a smaller school because he's never going to put up big numbers at any of these top tier schools. And he'll get more of a showcase to, of his arm, his mobility. As for Tank Bigsby, I think Tank's probably a fantastic. No, I don't love Bo Nix. I think he's a fantastic running back. I think he will be worthy of an NFL draft pick, probably like a 3rd, 4th round in a couple of years or next year. So for him to get more of a stage, I think, because they have a really good backup running back too that might take a lot of his carries next year. And that Auburn just can't compete. So, yes, I think for Tank Bigsby, if he goes to a top-tier school and gets the brunt of the carries, then he'll showcase his ability. And Bo Nix, the only way that he raises his NFL draft stock is to go to a smaller school and put up better stats because he did show some life at the end of this year. I always thought he was crap, but he had some good moments. Yeah.
His biggest problem is he's just so mouthy. He complained about the refs. He complained about Alabama. He complained about this. I would have respected him more if he had put his money where his mouth was and won more games and been, a good quarterback. But he just never was. He couldn't take over games. So I'm like, so you choose to just sit there and bash everybody else that's successful. I don't respect that. So he's going to have a hard time finding a coach that wants to put up with that. I'm going to tell you that right now. So after having a pregame meeting on the Chiefs logo, the Raiders just decided that they were going to take a bye week and not play against the Chiefs on Sunday. So we have to ask the serious question. With all the crap that's been going on this season for the Raiders, how they've been performing the past couple years, is it time for a rebuild for the Raiders? And the tie-in question is, what does that mean for Derek Carr?
Yeah, I think it's definitely time.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that. Don't remember it.
It's been time for a while. I mean, since John Gruden got, kicked off the face of the earth, I think it was time for them to rebuild. As for Derek Carr, I think he'll probably stick around, but as just a stopgap kind of guy, a stopgap quarterback. He always has decent stats for me, and he's a pretty accurate quarterback, but he's never mastered the ability to throw downfield and put up the big numbers to be the elite quarterback that we thought he was going to be.
Right.
So I think he'll be a stopgap quarterback. I think the Raiders need a rebuild, and they just have so much distraction right now. I think it's good for them to just rebuild. With the Henry Ruggs situation, the John Gruden situation, I think Josh Jacobs is having his 9th kid with his 8th different woman. So, that's drama off the field as well.
Damon Arnett, too.
Damon Arnett showing a gun on Instagram Live, So a lot of things happen in the Raiders that you're kind of, nervous for. So
the Raiders have become, Florida man, basically.
You know what's the scariest part? Antonio Brown was right.
And he's still insane.
Yes.
So, they need just to overhaul.
Antonio Brown is turning into the Alex Jones of the NFL.
Yeah.
And their defense hasn't been like – they've had so many top picks in that defense, like Damon Arnett, like you talked about, Jonathan Abram. They got Cleveland Farrell out of Clemson with the 4th overall pick, and they're all, like, not good. So I would think you need to look at GM as well and just overhaul the entire situation because, I mean, look at it. You're not going to be good anyway. You got the Chiefs and you got the Chargers who are going to be around for forever. Herbert and Mahomes, like you can take all the time you need rebuilding because you're not going to beat those guys in the next 3 years, Derek Carr anyway. So
no,
yeah.
So I think this is not going to be the year to look for a quarterback in the draft, but it needs to happen soon because get off of Carr's contract, get off of trusting that man to win, and for the Raiders, just. Yeah, that whole thing is a dumpster fire. So the Heisman ceremony was on Saturday. Bryce Young came away with the award against C.J. Stroud, Kenny Pickett, and Aiden Hutchinson.
Nobody saw that coming.
No. But, a lot of things were circling on Twitter that made me kind of want to ask a question and look back. Somebody said, you know what, he's still a good player, but winning the Heisman doesn't even mean that much. And I said, okay, well then let's do a history comparison. And let's look back at the winners from 2000 and now, kind of get a feel for how they were, how they performed in the NFL, and see if it really matters to transfer into the program. So I have a full list, so I will walk us through. We'll just do this really quick because I know a lot of these are bad, and we're going to say them really quick. Chris Weinke, 2000, was the winner from Florida State, quarterback. Let's just go ahead and say it really quick. From a scale of good, decent, and bad, we're going to go ahead and say he was bad. He was really bad. The fact that the Panthers needed to rely on him as much as they did, like as a rookie, that's bad.
Well, he was 29 when he was a rookie.
Yeah, that's
that's old.
Yeah.
Ew, gross, old man. Let's go to 2001. It was Eric Crouch, Nebraska's quarterback. He didn't even play in the NFL, so I'm just gonna go ahead and give him bad. Like, what else can I give him? Although he was really good with Nebraska, I'll give you that. But yeah.
He got drafted by the Rams. Yeah.
Rams.
Yeah. He was
all right. The next one is Carson Palmer, correct?
Yes, 2002 was Carson Palmer, the USC quarterback. I'll give this one a good. He actually performed how he was supposed to perform for the Bengals before he went to the Cards, right? Was it Bengals Cards? Did he play anywhere else? I feel like he played like some weird places.
Raiders. He played for the Raiders.
Ew.
Oh, there we go.
But fact remaining, he wasn't a bad quarterback. He was pretty good. So out of 3, we have 1 good. That's already not good. Let's go to 2003. Jason White. I totally forgot about him until I watched that video. And Oklahoma's quarterback.
The guy behind him in that Heisman class was his teammate Adrian Peterson, I believe.
Yeah. And if I remember correctly, Jason White never played in the NFL.
No, he didn't.
So that's That's really bad.
We're 1 out of 4.
Yeah. Let's go to 2004. Matt Leinart, the USC quarterback. I'm not a fan of Leinart to begin with, so I'm already going to say bad unless you guys feel differently. But
no, he was good in college, but once he got to the NFL, he didn't have an arm. Nope. He didn't have an arm to compete in the NFL. A very noodle kind of arm, much like Mark Sanchez when he played in the NFL. Accurate, probably within about 5 to 10 yards, but beyond that, nope, couldn't get it downfield. Immobile. Really benefited from having all that talent around him at USC. So, yeah.
Sadly, we have a few more quarterbacks that fall under that list of really great in college but didn't have the arm to make it in the pros. Let's go to 2005, the first running back on the list so far. Reggie Bush, the USC running back. I'm going to give him a good.
He's Reggie Bush.
He's Reggie Bush. Take the Heisman away from him. Who cares? He's still Reggie Bush, and he
still won it. So
and he still did what he was supposed to do once he hit the NFL. So
Yes.
we've got 2 good out of 5.
I mean, in terms of his talent, he showcased it quite a bit in the NFL, but he never had the type of career that you wanted him to.
No.
I would kind of equate him right now to Saquon Barkley out of Penn State, even though Saquon didn't win a Heisman.
Right.
How high they were drafted, how much they were supposed to impact the team. They really haven't done it.
Reggie should have been what Adrian Peterson was.
In terms of being in the NFL that long, for sure. Different kinds of running backs, but yeah. I mean, he got drafted by the Saints, and he didn't want to go to the Saints. It was actually pre-draft. The Saints called him. He was like, I don't want to go to play for New Orleans, and then they drafted him. So that could have sent his career off to a rocky start, and I just don't think he was ever utilized like he was supposed to. So
that's definitely a hot take. I'll give you that one, D. I'd probably take. No, I would. Come on now. I would take AP over Reggie Bush any day.
Yeah, 100%.
For total career, yes. Yeah, definitely.
AP tore his ACL, and then 8 months later had one of the best seasons of any running back ever. That's
insane.
All right. 2006, Troy Smith, the Ohio State quarterback, won the Heisman. Do we even have to say it? He was booty. He was bad. He was really bad.
Yeah, no, let's not talk outside. I mean, I think, again, you give Justin Fields an O-line, I think he's going to be good. But outside of Justin Fields, we have not seen a really, really great Ohio State Ohio State quarterback in the NFL.
Oh, listen, we'll have you on sometime and we'll hash it out. I promise. But you're wrong. I love you, but you're wrong. Let's go to 2007. Speaking of quarterbacks that don't have arms, Tim Tebow, the Florida quarterback. Do we even have to say it? Aside from one magical game, he was horrible.
Yeah,
he was bad.
Actually, when he played for the Jaguars, the tight end, he was really good. So.
I can hear Skip Bayless screaming in the background.
Yeah, he was horrible. Yep, he had the weirdest throwing motion you could have ever asked for. Yeah, he honestly, what he should have done is became a tight end or a fullback 3 years into his career, and he would have probably still been in the NFL and lasted. But nope, he didn't.
Yeah, Tim was something else. Let's say that.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of quarterbacks that I would also classify as something else, 2008, Sam Bradford, the Oklahoma quarterback. Let's just say it. Yeah. I'll give that for him and for Sam Bradford. Put them in the trash. They're both terrible.
I think he would have been good if he stayed healthy, but he could never stay healthy. And on the Rams, he got injured early in his career. He can never live up to it. Very accurate quarterback, though, but just couldn't stay on the field. So
nope. Let's move to our second running back. In 2009, it was Mark Ingram from Alabama, the running back. You guys are going to hate this. Decent.
I can go with decent.
Yeah,
actually,
decent.
I don't hate that.
He wasn't a bowling ball. He wasn't the speed guy. He wasn't all that. He was great. He's still good. He was a great player in college. Good player in the NFL, but not amazing. I would say decent. He's been around for a long time.
Still in the NFL.
Big trust. Woo woo. Lamar Jackson. Yeah, I know. I want a shirt of that, man. But he just wasn't elite, and that's why I have to say decent. And that hurts.
I would say he's had a better career than Reggie Bush has had. So
don't start a fight. Don't start a fight. I don't.
I'm not going to. I'm just saying he has. He for sure has.
Speaking of people that I don't know how they won a Heisman, in 2010, Cam Newton, the Auburn quarterback.
You don't know how he won a Heisman? Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
he won a Heisman.
You're gonna hate this. I would also say decent, good.
Say decent.
He's in the middle of both of those, like, listen, man, you know he is not the best quarterback that's ever played. Come on. Be real with me, brother. You know it's not. He was good. He was different. He was big-bodied. He could run through anybody. Great. But in terms of, like, success in the NFL, he's never had that, except for play. Go ahead. I'm waiting for the comment. He played in the Super Bowl. I know he played in the Super Bowl. I watched it. But he's not the number one overall draft pick kind of material that you expect.
He was. I mean, he won an MVP. I mean, that speaks for itself. But yeah, after that, they kind of just figured him out. I think
I'll give him good, but he should have retired a lot sooner than he did, and that's part of what made him like.
He didn't get. I would say he never really got better.
No, he was the same player through and through throughout his entire career.
Yeah, he never really got better. I don't think elite talent, and I think he did change the game a little bit, but he never really got better. I think that's kind of what killed him.
The next one, 2011, Robert Griffin III, the Baylor quarterback. I loved him. I loved watching him. He's a cool guy. But let's be real, he was bad. Had he stayed healthy, however, I think that would have changed. But let's be honest and call a spade a spade. He was bad.
Yes.
Which hurts me, though. Also, speaking of RG3, have you guys seen that he's releasing a book exposing all of everything in Washington? He said about the team doctors that told me to play on the ACL, about the upper management, about everything.
Can't wait.
I love Washington, but Washington was toxic.
Yeah.
Still is.
Yeah.
I know. Listen, I loved RG3. I'm playing NCAA 14 right now. I just pulled it back out. I never knew there were Heisman challenges where you can go back and play as like players. I didn't know that. I never did it. So I'm like this close to starting one as RG3. But it just won't be the same. You know what I mean? Why are you going to hurt me about RG3? I love RG3. Chill out. You know who we can both hate? I'll give you the next one. The 2012 winner, Johnny Manziel, the Texas A&M quarterback.
Johnny football.
He gets his own classification in this. He was horrible. He was trash. No redemption. No redemption. You should not have been that good.
Into the garbage.
He should not have been that good of a player in college and to just completely crap out in the NFL. I don't care that you played for the Browns. If you were that good, you should have made something happen.
I think he's very reminiscent of Baker Mayfield. I think him and Baker have kind of similar skill sets a little bit, but at least Baker Mayfield, from what it looks like cares about football. Manziel didn't care about football.
Ouch. But yeah, you're not wrong. That's all he was. He was just a glorified frat boy. It's true. I watched him in the Canadian Football League a little bit because I was curious, but
he fell asleep.
I still don't care enough about him to hope he comes back. Anyways, 2013's winner was Jamie Ice Winston.
Cringe, very cringe.
FSU's quarterback. I'll say decent. I want to say bad, but at least he's kind of been okay. He's definitely bad for throwing 30 touchdowns and 30 picks in one season.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a record. It's a record for a bad reason, guys. Nobody should have been like, he set a record. Yeah, for being trash.
Yeah.
It's
true.
I personally just hate the man. I hope he fails at everything he does.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't like him.
Wow.
He's a rapist through and through. Let's move on. Marcus Mariota was the 2014 winner. Here you go, G.
Mariota.
Yeah, the Oregon quarterback. He was a stud in college. He was a stud. Nobody really knew how to stop him. Kind of like Lamar Jackson before Lamar Jackson, if everybody's okay with that comparison. I mean, it kind of was like a mobile quarterback, had a decent arm.
When I think of Marcus Mariota, I think of Ohio State versus him in the national championship game, and I get a smile on my face.
But either way, let's be honest about his NFL career. It was bad.
Yep.
His NFL career was bad. I was waiting for the moment where things were going to turn around for him. I was waiting for the moment where he was finally going to figure it out and like fix things. But this man's best play he's ever had in the NFL was a pass that was
himself.
Came back to himself. Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, there's that. Let's go to 2015. Derrick Henry, the Alabama running back.
Great.
You might think I'm biased. I said good. He's good. He has been everything that
he's bordering on great right now.
I would say great. Yeah.
Okay, but I thought you guys were going to be like Alabama bias. But fine, yes, great.
Dude,
I think he is fantastic.
Dude, here's the thing. You've got to realize it is Kyle and I who are the unbiased ones.
I'll take it, D. That man is a freak. I love him. I think he's great. He's everything he was supposed to be. Defenses still have nightmares about how to stop him. He actually has a son in the NFL. Did you guys know that? His name is Josh Norman. But humor, Luke, humor.
Okay. I'm like going.
No. And so 2016. Let's go to 2016. My man Lamar Jackson, Louisville quarterback. He's good. He hasn't had the playoff win yet. I think that'll change a bit. Well, I mean, he's had a playoff win, but like nothing beyond that. Listen, shut up. But in terms of like turning around a franchise that was relying on that was relying on Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco was some trash.
Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl. Gosh darn it!
He's still trash.
You take
trash.
That.
Listen. Trash finds pearls every now and then, right?
A broken clock is right twice a day.
Right, exactly. So I think good. I think you can say good for him. Is that a fair assessment?
No, it's right now. Yeah,
that's a fair assessment.
I just get scared that if he can ever win a big one, and he,
Mac is the best QB. Now shush.
I just hope his career isn't like Cam Newton's career.
I hope not. I think we'll find out with time. They need to give him better receivers. It always seems to be that problem.
Yeah.
It always seems to be that problem. I'm sorry, but Sammy Watkins didn't really get me excited about exactly. Didn't get me excited about how are you going to help Lamar. Rashad Bateman. You know what? Rashad Bateman is actually decent, but he's not like killer. If you guys don't know, D is a Patriots fan.
Really?
Yeah.
I never would have known.
Oh, shut up. So let's go to 2017. Baker Mayfield, the Oklahoma quarterback. I'll give him decent. Here's why I'll give him decent. Nobody thought a Browns quarterback would go to the playoffs. He's done that. That's impressive. I'll give him that. Is he consistent? No. Does he constantly miss wide open receivers? Yeah. I mean, mistakes happen. I'll give him that. And he plays in one of the harder divisions in the NFL between the Browns, the Bengals, the Ravens. Usually the Steelers, but the Steelers kind of like fell apart. Gosh. We all love him because he makes our wins easier. So let's go to 2018. Kyler Murray was the Oklahoma quarterback. I'll give him a good. He has been exactly what was advertised the entire time. Cliff Kingsbury got his man and has made everything out of it. So I'll give him a good. Let's go to 2019. Joe Burrow, the LSU quarterback. It's a little early, but for right now, good. Definitely an explosive year two. Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to do it to him. I'm sorry. But yeah, Joe Burrow. I would say Joe Burrow is really good. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, especially if you can take the Bengals and make them decent. That says something. Let's go to 2020. Devontae Smith, Alabama wide receiver.
I'd say undecided.
Too early.
Yeah, no, undecided. You can't make a call one way or the other at this point.
No.
But I mean, with how he's done already this year, I mean, the Eagles are still kind of, I'm sure Kyle can let us know exactly how well the Eagles are doing.
I would say if he gets a quarterback that can put the ball on the money, then I would say he's going to have a really good career. So,
there you go.
All right, and then Bryce Young won this year, but we already talked about that, and we have no way to like. I'm sorry, it should have been Sean Clifford. I'm so sorry. Oh, silly me. Or C.J. Stroud. Oh, I
should have been Kenny Pickett.
You could have made a case for C.J. Stroud. Clifford.
You could have made a case for Clifford as well.
Yes.
You know who else you could have made a case for? Will Anderson. Weird. Let's move on. Let's move on to NFL highlights. Yeah, boo to you too, buddy. Let's see. Kind of a predictable week. I don't think anything weird happened. Vikings beat the Steelers 36-28. Browns beat the Ravens. I think that's only because Lamar was like not there most of the game, 24-22. Titans just demolished the Jaguars 20-0. It's like the Jags just didn't want to play on Sunday. The Chiefs also had a son on Sunday called the Las Vegas Raiders, 48-9. The Saints beat the Jets 30-9. Congratulations, I guess. The Cowboys beat the Washington football team 27-20. Wow, it's like Dak Prescott is 7-1 when he plays against you guys there. The Falcons beat the Panthers 29-21. It was kind of just like a matter of, I guess, Trash is going to score at least once today, right? The Seahawks beat the Texans 33-13. They finally had some life in that offense, but it was against the Texans, so does that count? Broncos beat the Lions 38-10. Again, congrats. You want a gold sticker? The Chargers beat the Giants 37-21. Once again, what do you want? A medal? The 49ers beat the Bengals 26-23 in overtime. George Kittle is that guy. The Buccaneers beat the Bills in overtime 33-27. I don't know whether that's really good that they won or bad that they had to go to OT with the Bills. And then the Packers escaped the Bears 45-30. I say that because I don't think anyone in their right mind thought that the Bears were going to drop 30 points on that. Yeah, drop points on that defense. And then Cardinals and Rams will be tonight at what, 8:15, 8:20?
Something like that.
I mean, man, there's really just not even anything to talk about this week, unless you guys have some game that was like really.
I mean, well, a little bit of respect on the Bills, and also a little bit of a dig at them. Josh Allen, I think, showed that he's still a really good quarterback and that he's going to be around for a while. But he had the most rushing yards on the team. He had 109. Second was Devin Singletary. He only got 4 carries. And then behind him, Matt Breida only got 3 carries. They really need to
Zach
find
Moss even play. Like I give up on Zach Moss.
They need to find more of an identity for that offense. You can't just have him doing everything. It's just not going to work. He's trying to put the whole team on his back. It's not working, especially when the defense really is struggling. Early in the year, we thought, wow, the Bills have like one of the best defenses in the NFL, and that game specifically just wasn't really good. It is the Buccaneers, but you look at when they played the Jaguars like a few weeks ago, they lost 9-6. That's a game where the defense did show up and the Bills couldn't do anything. Yep. So like right now, I would say their offense is more of a problem. Their defense is, and that kind of sucks when you have an MVP, I think, caliber quarterback in Josh Allen. So they need to figure that out fast.
I agree. Okay, let us hop on over to our Fix Me this week, which will be brought to us by a Luke, not me. Let's be swift. We're running out of time.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna tackle the Auburn Tigers today because they've just got a bunch of wacky things going on. With everyone entering the transfer portal, I think that the team is still very much reeling from the Iron Bowl. And in all honesty, they had that game won, and they needed to put that game away, and they couldn't. I think to fix the team for the long run, you need a big-name coach. They need a big-name coach. I don't think who they have right now at head coach. I know he's young, and I know you want to try to give him a chance. But the problem is you're in the state of Alabama. And as long as Nick Saban is there, and he looks like he's going to be there for the long term, you're not going to be able to recruit at the level that Alabama is going to. And you need to be able to if you're going to be able to compete with them on a consistent basis. So you need a big name coach that can at least somewhat make it so that you can recruit somewhat easier. And then you need to, again, really focus on recruiting and then get some successful coaching staff. I don't think the offensive coordinator there really worked out. The fact that they could not score, the fact that they couldn't keep the defensive coordinator couldn't keep Alabama from scoring. All they had to do was cover one dude, Mechie, and it would have solved a lot of things, but they couldn't cover him at the last part of the game. So, yeah, he got a few connections. And that outside of, doing the unethical stuff, trying to sabotage Nick Saban, it's very hard to try to compete with Alabama when you're in the same state. But you have to get big names. You have to create a brand that's other than, we lose to Alabama most of the time in the Iron Bowl. Right now, that is your MO. That is your brand, Auburn. And you need to change that brand, and you need to create a brand of your own that isn't dependent on Alabama in order to be successful.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let me switch you out here, buddy, and then we'll go to our next one. I'm going to go to our hot take, which is a meatball for the people that have been here before. If you're new and you're joining us, this is our hot take segment. I'm going to take it today, and I'm going to be really brief. Luke's already heard me complain about it. Kyle, I'm sure you're going to love it so much. I am sick and tired of the college football awards. I'm sick of it. I'm so sick of it because at this point, it is a popularity contest. It has nothing to do with stats. Here are my main two complaints for the year. Jordan Addison somehow was voted to be the best wide receiver.
He had better stats.
Okay, sure.
You just said it's about popularity, not about stats. Addison had better stats.
Okay, yeah, but when you play Western Michigan and North New Hampshire and you see what I'm saying? It's not real. It's not real. You could put me in pad.
But is he the best receiver in college football? No, he's not. No. I would agree with that. But I would say there probably are guys year after year after year who don't get the highest stats that are better receivers than other guys who get more stats.
I mean, if we're going to be completely honest, let's not talk like at least one of the Ohio State wide receivers shouldn't have been on that nomination list. I mean, come on.
Okay, but
Garrett Wilson. If Garrett Wilson chooses to go to the draft this year, he will.
Or Chris Olave.
Their stats are nowhere close to Jamison Williams or Jordan Addison.
Well,
I said, hold on a minute.
Which is it?
I mean, neither of your team's players are good enough to be in these conversations anyways, so I guess it doesn't matter to you, but it kind of matters to me.
I would say Jahan Dotson is very, very good.
Oh, there we go. And why would he be good then?
Because if you watch him play,
is it stats? Is it popularity? What?
That's definitely not popularity. That's for sure.
Then here's my point. If his stats are better than Jordan Addison's, which I looked at his stats aren't bad. I know who he is. I'm just giving you crap. I know who he is. He had better stats than some of the Ohio State wide receivers. Why wasn't he talked about?
I don't know.
Do you see what I'm saying? This was my point. I had to throw shade at you for a minute to get the point out. It is not about popularity. If it was about popularity, you know who should have won it? Olave or Garrett Wilson, because they're the popular receivers in college. That's my personal opinion. They're the popular ones. You turn on any broadcast and you hear somebody in the Big Ten talking about how good the Ohio State wide receiver core is and how talented they are and how deep it is. But none of them were invited. This is my whole point. I wasn't even going to talk about Jamison Williams' stats. I was just going to complain that Jordan Addison won it. because he scored 4 touchdowns against Western Michigan and 3 against New Hampshire. Put me in pads. I could do the same thing, and I'm fat. Like, what did you do that was impressive, Jordan Addison?
But
like, I don't.
Yes. It's definitely a little bit of it is popularity. I'm not going to disagree with you. It's never been about who is the best player at their respective position in college football. Sometimes they quantify that with stats. Sometimes they don't. Addison definitely had the best stats of any receiver, so therefore he won it. But like for like Remington or some of those, positions that you can't really quantify stats as, it's just is it by coaches? Is it by committee? It's hard to gauge. But I would say Addison had the best stats, therefore he won. Jameson Williams should have been in the conversation, and he was.
Yep.
But then I would agree. I would put Olave, Garrett Wilson. I'd even put Jahan Dotson up there. Non-bias aside, you just look at their receivers, all those guys, where they're going to end up in the draft. Guarantee you, Jameson Williams, Olave, Garrett Wilson, Jahan Dotson will all end up higher than Addison. However, a lot of those awards, and they have been a college football award and not an NFL award. So
Well, yeah, but even so, if it was still a college football award, it shouldn't be just because you put up gaudy stats. Fantastic. But look at your quarterback was a Heisman candidate. So was it you or your quarterback? Like, this is what kills me. Like,
what was it, Bryce Young or was it Jameson Williams?
Both. Like, at least you see the talent of both of those guys. I've watched Jordan Addison play. I went back and watched highlights. I'm not impressed. Like, he's good. He has good hands, but he's not next level. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're going to win a big award, like, okay, here's what kills me too. Jordan Davis won. Did anybody watch the full SEC championship where this guy was out of breath with one guy covering him and had to sit for the next 4 plays?
370 pounds. Of course he'd be out of breath.
So he's a weenie. Why did he win?
A weenie? He's massive.
Okay, all right.
He's the biggest weenie I've ever seen.
You're going to hate this. If he was so good, how come he couldn't stop Alabama?
Because Alabama's just better. It's not all about one guy.
That O-line, though? You really think that O-line is better than Jordan?
You have Evan Neal, who's just as big as him.
That's it. And Evan Neal wasn't even on him.
Alabama always has good offensive linemen. That's not something I'm going to debate.
Are we really talking like Alabama doesn't have the talent for anything?
No,
they have
I'm
number
just
one
saying their
recruiting
O-line
class
is terrible.
every year.
Here's what I'm hearing is that while Luke and I sit sad because neither our teams or our players have won anything, Brad is even more sad because one
it's
guy
like, here is the man who wins his team wins national championships every other year, basically.
Okay, all right.
2 Heisman trophies in a row, and he's complaining.
Yes, because if we are really that good, can you both just admit that Bama fatigue is a thing? No,
Bama fatigue is definitely a thing. We're all tired of Alabama, but we're also objective about things as well. And
okay, you are, but do you really think the people that are voting are? Like, that's my complaint.
Well, here's the thing. When you're a candidate, when you're a voter, and I think it's something very similar to what happened for the Biletnikoff, and that's why one of those Ohio State wide receivers didn't even get nominated. When you have 2 players that are vying for the same award on the same team, they're going to take votes away from each other. And so I think Bryce Young definitely took votes away from Will Anderson. And the fact that happened and Will Anderson still got he was like the runner-up for the nominees.
Yeah.
That's impressive. That's impressive. So if Bryce Young wasn't the player, let's say he was just your average, let's say he would have like Blake Sims or something like that.
Oh, God.
I'm sure Will Anderson very easily could have won it.
Here's my complaint. Here's my major complaint. Yes, I get it. My player won. Fantastic. Not a shock to anybody in the college football world at all. But here's what really irritates me. The dude that plays for the Michigan team that probably has one decent win their entire season against Ohio State with the guy that has worse stats than Will Anderson got invited to New York? Because what? Because he plays for Michigan? Like I didn't get the like I hate the voting system. I do. Because truthfully, if you want to go, and Kyle's right, if you want to go by what was most impressive for the Heisman, it should have been Kenny Pickett, not Bryce Young.
I mean, the Aiden Hutchinson, Will Anderson thing, you could go on forever about it because defensive players rarely, if ever, like win. It's just the Heisman is not a defensive player award. It's
crowning
award.
It's just crowning the best offensive player.
Yeah,
basically.
it's always what it is. Like Will Anderson
Most often it's crowning the best quarterback, but
yeah,
Will
Anderson had an incredible year. Incredible year. Aiden Hutchinson had an incredible year. Yeah. I would say, I mean, Michigan's in the top 4. They're going to go to the playoffs. And honestly, Alabama got to where they are because of Bryce Young and Jameson Williams. Michigan got to where they were at because no one can stop Aiden Hutchinson
and David Ojabo.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I can get with that. I agree with that. Yeah. All right, that was incredibly more lengthy than I intended for it to be, but we all argue a little bit, so that's okay. Luke, go ahead and take the first. Let's take out the trash.
Okay.
And we'll try to get through this episode quickly.
I heard about what happened. I didn't watch it, but I heard about what happened, and I couldn't bring myself to watch it because I'm still incredibly angry and ticked off about it. But during the Heisman ceremony, you had Aiden Hutchinson and Desmond Howard kind of piling on to Ohio State during the ceremony, making fun of the Ohio State O-line and rubbing in the victory even more. And to that, I say, first of all, Desmond Howard isn't even good at his job. Let's put that out there right now. Number 2, the Heisman Trophy ceremony is to celebrate the excellence that is within college football. It is a time where you put rivalries and all that aside, and you appreciate the greatness that is next to you. For Aiden Hutchinson and for Desmond Howard to look at a Heisman finalist and basically point and laugh at, how we beat you right now. First of all, it goes to show that Michigan doesn't know how to act like they've been there before because they haven't in at least 10 years. But it just goes to show that there is very, very little class there. I'm very, very disappointed in Aiden Hutchinson. And to Desmond Howard, I want to say a big screw you and the horse you came in on. So I can't wait. If Ohio State has another Heisman finalist maybe next year, I can't wait for whatever they have to say. And I can't wait for Ryan Day to have his answer in Columbus next year. So I will just
I was going to say, just prove it in the rivalry game. It'll deal with it. I think this was a fluke Michigan year. Anyways, I'm going to do mine really quickly. Speaking of good teams and overall, it appears Alabama has decided they like to play basketball now. And they play.
Please, no, we don't need this. Now the Alabama fatigue will have reached a high if all of a sudden you figure out how to play basketball.
I'm more excited for the basketball team because when in the world were we that good? Like forever. But Kelvin Sampson, dude, you can't act like that, man. Like, yeah, I get it. Okay, Houston went up for a shot and it got blocked. Like it looked very much like a LeBron James like block at the buzzer kind of thing to save the game and win by 1 point. But dude, for you and your entire team to go after the ref after the game, like that's bad class, bro. And like, I'm going to put it on you because you're the coach. Like you're supposed to set the tone. And that was just like, I was classless. Like he's apologized now, but it took him days to say anything. I'm like, that's not good, bro. Like you take your L's and you move on. That's how it goes. Like, I don't get it. Especially for a team that was in the Final Four last year. Like you would think you know how to handle like a high pressure situation, and then he just went off. I'll try to show you guys a video later if you care. If not, it's all good. But it was just kind of like disrespectful, I guess. All right, guys, flashbang. Super excited because this is going to tie into our hashtag Bowl Mania, which is going to go crazy for the next month. Who needs the win most? Mike Leach, the head coach for Mississippi State, Scott Frost for Nebraska, or Dabo Sweeney for Clemson. Wait, is Nebraska even in the vault? Did somebody switch?
No, they're not.
I had to change it out because Dan Mullen got fired. So.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, well then Mike Leach or Dabo Sweeney. Remember, you have like a one sentence answer.
Did you say who needs it more?
Yeah, who needs it more?
Oh, Dabo Sweeney, because his job could be gone in a few years.
Dabo, stop the bleeding.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do it one more time, and I'll give you 3 this time. Mac Brown for UNC, Jimbo Fisher for Texas A&M, or Gus Malzahn of UCF. Who needs the win most?
Jimbo Fisher, because he wants to show that A&M is a legitimate powerhouse.
I would also say Jimbo. Quick question: who is A&M playing in their bowl game?
I don't remember. I went through so many of those posters.
I think
They're
it's
all
a Big
bleeding
Ten
together.
team. Let me quickly check. Texas A&M.
I don't remember, and I don't want to look it up. I don't care enough.
Okay. But yeah, no. What he said. What Kyle said.
And now I'm gonna. Is it Wake Forest? I think it might be Wake Forest.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Hold on. It might be Wake Forest. Let's find out.
Oh, Zach Calzada is entering the transfer portal as well.
Yep. Oh, it is Wake Forest. It is Wake
Okay.
Forest.
Way to go, man.
Good job. I will disagree with you both and say Mac Brown. For being that good of a coach and having Sam Howell, it does not look good to go 6-6 in the ACC. That is not exactly a strong conference.
That's true.
I think he needs it. They could always bring in new blood and start over. Fisher, he has the best win of the season. Well, I guess besides Michigan beating Ohio State, I guess the second best win of the season was Texas A&M unranked beating Alabama. But still, point being, like, I don't think they're going to fire him if he doesn't win a bowl game. But Mac Brown, 6-6 is really dicey when you have a guy that's supposed to go high in the NFL draft. Anyways, let's move on to overrated. Hey, guys, I am so ready to talk about this guy because the fact that he still has a job is amazing. Urban Meyer, please tell me you guys have heard the reports that are coming out of Jacksonville.
Yep.
If you haven't, I'll give a brief recap.
It's bad. Which is
really
why
bad.
I don't think he belongs in the overrated category, because who was overrating him in the first place?
Well, we were before the season.
I was going to say all the analysts that said, "Oh, Jacksonville has finally hired a quality coach." I'm like,
well, they're not saying that anymore now. But if we're going to go from the beginning of the season, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's why I'm putting him here, because everybody's like, "Well, he's the best guy to mentor Trevor Lawrence." I'm like, is he? Is he though? No. Is he? From the whole girlfriend-wife thing to screaming at your players to calling your assistant coaches losers. And forcing them to defend their resume in a meeting. Dude, defend your resume. Are you kidding me? Like, how are you going to come in there and destroy this organization?
Yeah, dude, what's your NFL resume?
What really kills me is the Jaguars coming from behind and saying, we're not firing him. Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? If this was anyone else, they would have been out the door after the whole grinding on some girl thing. I hate Urban Meyer. It went from I have respect for him, like mutual respect, and like he's a good coach. Now I just hate him.
So
I want him to get fired.
Who do you hate more, Jameis Winston or Urban Meyer? Because
flashbang.
Yeah,
flashbang.
Say it one more time.
Who do you hate more, Jameis Winston or Urban Meyer?
Urban Meyer.
Wow.
Urban Meyer. Because listen, you're supposed to be like a man of high character, and like nothing about Jacksonville has said high character to me at all. At least with Winston, I already knew he was a trash bag and he's living up to it. Great. But Urban Meyer was supposed to be like a tent pole of like good everything.
Yeah, leadership. And he showed zero leadership so far.
He's just died. Especially the side comment of, it's like playing Alabama every week. Yeah, you dummy. Welcome to the NFL.
Yep.
Like half of them are Alabama players, you moron. Like, duh. Yeah, thank you. Listen, if I'm the Jaguars, just fire him. Move on. show your players that you trust them, show the other coaching staff that you've hired that you appreciate them, and just fire Urban and start over.
Yeah, because you have Trevor Lawrence, and that's attractive enough to get a good head coach in there. So
Right. Yeah, no.
you might as well start now before Urban Meyer ruins Trevor Lawrence, and then you have no attraction. So,
yep, that's exactly where my brain was. We got 2 more overrateds. It's not really overrated, but I had to talk about it somewhere. Matt Rule, you're overrated. Why in the world would you keep Cam Newton as your starter? You lost to the Falcons. Let me say that one more time. They lost to the Atlanta Falcons. Why is he still your starting quarterback? I mean, just put Walker in there at this point. Give him a shot to try something, because it's not Cam Newton, obviously.
I feel like if they put in Walker, then they're kind of conceding at that point. I feel like
they
Cam
already
Newton,
should. What are they 5-8?
I agree. They stink. They should concede and just But for them, I think for him, he still wants to try to compete, and I feel like Cam Newton probably gives you a little bit of a better chance. I think they're just done with the Sam Darnold experience. Even though I think Sam Darnold's probably better than both of them, I just think they know that Darnold's not going to be their future at all. So they're really trying to find anything they can at the quarterback position, because none of them are going to work out. So.
And the sad thing is, not only is Cam washed, he's been washed, and them signing him back was not good. Let us speed through here. Quinn Ewers joining Texas. Yikes! Just yikes!
No. It's I look at Quinn Ewers and I see, okay, here is a cautionary tale. I mean, he was the number 1 prospect, I think, in the country for his class. I think it was going to be the 2022 class.
Mm-hmm.
He chooses to forego his senior year of high school to play with his friends from school, and he comes from Texas. He goes to Ohio State, gets, the big, fat, huge NIL deal, and now he's going back to Texas. And so I go, okay, is this a sign of what might be coming down the pike with NIL stuff? Do you have these high prospects who see dollar signs now and they go to big name programs, get those on NIL dollars, and then go to where they're actually going to go to school? So I think it could very easily turn into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do I still think NIL is the right thing to do? Absolutely. I think the players deserve to at least have the right to their own name, image, and likeness.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm really excited for the possibility of another NCAA football game coming out. I can't wait for that to potentially happen.
Yep.
But that aside, it's going to need it's probably going to need to have some reforms happen, or it's going to turn into something more and more like what we're already saying and what Quinn Ewers was an example of.
Yep. All right, let's hit one more thing, and then we'll wrap up. We've got some other things to run and do this evening. Let's do a quick jock, paper, scissors. I'll give you an NBA-themed one because they're all kind of in that same decent but not dominating category. Do you all like this one? So when we do jock, paper, scissors, we pick from 3 different teams or topics or players or something and narrow down which one wins over the other 2. So let me give you Nets, Jazz, Bucks, jock, paper, scissors. Who comes out on top here?
I'm still going to say the Bucks because they got Giannis, and he'll never go away. The Nets, while they have a good team, Harden, Durant, and maybe Kyrie Irving at some point, it's always a maybe with them. Yep. I don't really trust their longevity, and I don't trust their chemistry quite yet, and I don't trust that they'll all play together at the same time and be that elite team that we thought they were going to be. So, and the Jazz, listen, Rudy Gobert's elite defensively, we know that, but offensively he's nothing. Donovan Mitchell, a very talented player, but to me, he's not a superstar. I don't think he can take over a game as often as you'd like. So I'm still going to say Giannis just because it's him.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree as well. Yes, the Nets have Kevin Durant, who, yes, won some championships with the Golden State Warriors. But, we all know how controversial those championships were because, there were some instances of, just Kevin Durant was riding, Stephen Curry's coattails or the other way around. So there's that. Giannis, his next best player was Chris Middleton. Come on, let's be honest. There's a proven winner who won by himself, who won quote unquote the right way on the Bucks, and they're doing really, really well still. So I'm gonna ride with that D.
I'm with D here. It's definitely the Bucks. The Nets are the closest thing behind him, and I put the Jazz in here to see if anybody would take the bait. But I feel like the Jazz benefit from being in the West more than the Jazz are really good. So yeah, I'll take the Bucks. They've proven they can do it. They've proven they don't need multiple, as we think, superstars. They still have superstar style players. Like Chris Middleton is kind of do it all guy, but not a superstar. But they've proven they can do it and that it works. The Nets are still waiting to prove to me that they're an elite team. So Kyle's right. It's always a maybe with the Nets. And then the Jazz, Gobert's a machine. But Donovan Mitchell, how itty-bitty little dude is successful, I'll never understand. Joe Ingles is a bucket, obviously. I'm sorry, I'm kidding.
They have a good bench, though. I think, they are deep. I just don't know, because you can shut down Ingles, you can shut down Bogdanovich.
Okay, but there's a difference between elite and deep. You can be deep all you want. But
that's what I'm saying. I think they are deep, and they have some really good players. I just don't know if there's a guy on that team that's once you get to the playoffs, once you get to the finals, this guy will take over. I don't think they have that. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think they have a guy that can take over. I don't think they have a Kevin Durant. They don't have a Giannis. Yeah, maybe Donovan Mitchell should leave. I don't think he's really going to do that much in terms of winning championships on the Utah Jazz. So maybe.
But all right, guys, that wraps up a rather lengthy episode. D, thanks for hanging around, man. I'll see you tomorrow. Yuck. But we hope we brought you a lot of good stuff today.
English.
Screw you. Subscribe, talk to us, tell us what you want to hear, and wait for the announcement that will come out tomorrow.
Ooh.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
See ya.
It won't go away.